Is your thing on silent?
We'll find out. Because we are live and it's Friday and I'm back and Becky's here as well.
We're so excited to be here. Please tell us if we're
Back and Becky's here.
I said
So he's not silent. I told you he's not silent. We're going to find out.
Yeah, so hello. If we're deafening you, I apologise because it's been a little bit random.
Yeah, how's it sound? How is
the sound?
Can you hear us?
Lovely to see you all in here in the chat. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those of you who are in Australia. Thank you to everyone who was very kind and participated in our film challenge that we set back in January. It is March and we're finally going through the results. It was a tough choice, to be honest, because some of you decided to send us multiple shots and that was difficult to choose which ones to share.
That's true.
We're going to do that. I've got my coffee.
We tried to keep one per person, one photograph per person.
Sometimes we failed.
Unless you had a photograph of your pet and we just kept it.
Yeah.
So any pet qualifies as a just
free pass.
Free pass.
Yeah. It just has to happen.
They automatically won the competition.
It's not a competition, it's a challenge.
Yes.
So slightly differently worded. As you can see, Coffee Fund is open. We've been spending this morning doing so many things and also answering phones and also being on the shop floor and trying to film a tripod review and set up for the live stream. So we are a little bit last minute. So I will be making my coffee live on the live stream as part of the benefit.
It's brewing. Did you time it?
Yeah, no, I actually forgot it was about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so
you said
really
the
dark.
right ratio of the weight of coffee and the volume of water you've added.
Did you see how much coffee I put in there?
You just basically put half of the bag in there.
I did.
Becky's going to be well energized after drinking this.
You know why? This particular coffee, this is the Death Wish coffee. This is the dark roast Death Wish coffee. And it actually is not as you'll see from the color of it, it's not as dark as you would think. Look at that.
Well, because you put milk in there.
Yeah, I know. But still, even with no, yeah. Anyway, so the color is what it is. Leave me alone.
Okay, logic.
Thank you to Heather and Chris Angel for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. Really appreciate it. I have to say a massive thank you also to the lovely Lawrence Moss, who sent me not one but 2 boxes of chocolates. Big box. You're not allowed any, he said. But anyway, I might share.
Okay, just one. I'm on a diet
Yeah.
after my holiday.
Only that one at a time. But anyway, that was really, really lovely. And thank you to everyone else who's contributed either via PayPal or, through Super Chat throughout the week.
Ian Woolard.
Yeah.
Thank you for calendar.
Yes.
So I found it an envelope on my desk when I came back.
That's right. That was there when you returned, which was nice. 1 chocolate or 1 box. One at a time, 1 chocolate at a time, because you said I'll only have one box or 1 chocolate. 1 chocolate.
1 box.
No,
I open the box and then until I finish it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because it's there, then it's tempting you. So you just have to finish it at once, and that's it.
Start
and then
something, you need to finish it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you go on a diet.
Yeah.
So 1 box, 1 evening.
Okay. Yeah. I like this method. And then you go on a diet. And
exactly.
You're like me and you don't. Thank you to Jean for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. And thank you to Vince. Thank you very, very much for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. It was very nice to see you, albeit briefly, in the shop last couple of days. It has been a wild few days, I have to say.
So he came to the shop. And I wasn't here.
I know.
Damn. Okay. Well, next time wins.
Exactly. And thank you to Mark for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. There's a few people who are saying that they've heard from their dealers that their 800 mils are now arriving. We're quite fortunate, actually. I will tell you some pretty breaking news. We're now, this is not what this live stream is about, but I'm saying it anyway. We have now pretty much finished the waiting list on the 800 mil, the 400 2.8 and the 600 f4. And although we don't have 800 mils arriving for a few more weeks, we do have a 400 and a 600 arriving next week. And we don't have anyone waiting in the wings for it.
So free stock, but not in stock.
Yeah. I mean,
short wait.
But it'll be in stock. Yeah, free stock for the next delivery, and then who knows what will happen after that. But anyway, if you've been hankering after one of those lovely long lenses, you should place your order now, because then you'll get the next one that comes in. Massive thank you to Mark for your contribution to the Coffee Fund.
Thank you, Mark.
In New Jersey. And thank you to Randall also, who said, I love a middle-of-the-road roast coffee with my cream and sugar.
Thank you, Randall. East Coast is active.
Yeah, the East Coast is very active this morning. We appreciate you.
We should have a competition, East Coast versus West Coast.
I think that's quite controversial. I don't think we're allowed to do that.
No, in good old days of hip hop.
Yeah.
Without all the criminal
Without
stuff.
all the
shootings and stuff. Yeah. So
gang wars. Indeed. So today's live stream is about film photography. Of course, if you're not interested in film photography, that's fine. That's no problem. But we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah, but if you want to say that film photography in this day and age, yada, 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 we all know what comments you're going to put there. We'll ignore them because it's not about this today.
No, it's about feelings. It's about the tone.
Exactly.
It's about the vibe.
When we're going to have a stream, film versus digital, then, open your hearts up.
Exactly. Thank you to Jeremy also for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. To the person that said that I missed, Andy, who said, I can't see how many are attending the live stream. I can tell you, at the moment it's 176 people and we have 64 likes. So if you haven't given the stream a like, please just click the like button. It takes not even a full second of your time and it helps the stream massively.
And you know what? We are at 17.9 thousand subscribers. So, so we need about something like 80 subscribers to hit 18,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to help the channel, then this is the right time because it would be nice to smash that. I mean, it's a kind of a long shot, but if 80 of you or so will subscribe to the channel, then we're going to hit 18K right now.
Amazing. Wouldn't that be nice? I think that would be rather lovely, actually.
Yeah,
great way to
wonderful.
set off the weekend.
That's right.
Only a few more days before we also have longer days as well. Not long now before we get some...
Was it 25th or something like this? Yeah, we're going to change the clocks.
Time.
Yeah.
It's sometime at the end of this month.
And then suddenly it's 7 o'clock and it's still sunny outside. Yeah. That's going to be amazing. I mean, for kind of mental health is incredible.
Very important. We have had, I mean, it's very typical that today in London, it's a bright sunny day. The last few weeks, even while you were away on our sort of allocated shooting days, it has been pouring with rain. Not a good day for film photography at all. And shooting outside has been pretty miserable. So over the course of the next few weeks, you might see a few videos from us where we're in torrential rain or horrid weather.
Where we complain a lot.
And we complain. I tried to cut out the complaining as much as possible. But anyway, are we on a subscriber-only live chat again? Did you copy last week? I just copied
last week, so I have no idea.
Then probably. So if you can't chat, then it's because you're not subscribed, which means you have to subscribe and then you can chat. Well, hey, but it does help to kind of keep away the spam comments. And I mean the ones that are like not... We love anyone to come along and subscribe to the channel, but there are always some that sneak in there.
But I actually have no idea how to do that. So because we normally copy the settings, and because you've done something different last week,
I did,
and I copied them
for for the sake of my sanity.
Okay,
basically.
Fair enough. I mean, it's a tough gig to do a solo live stream.
It is. Yeah. It was challenging, but I think based on the feedback that I got last week, it was okay. I did all right. So
exactly.
So thank you to everyone who was there last week for my macro live stream. So because there were so many pictures, our sort of fancy screen sharing software thing only lets us put 20 pictures. And we actually ended up with a sort of final count of 27 pictures from the film challenge. Really, really happy to see so many of you participate. And I'm very, very pleased that we got so many film shots. I know that a few of them weren't taken more recently. Some of them were taken a little while back, and that's okay too. We're going to try and do a thing where we'll look at the picture and then you'll find the details.
Exactly.
You'll find the deets.
I've got the info. She's got the pictures.
Yeah. And I'm really, really hoping I'm going to...
I mean, you mentioned some images were taken before and some images were taken very recently, which is good. But have you people stocked up on the film before the price hikes? Because 1st of March... Kodak increased their prices.
Very sad.
Fuji did it, I think, back in January, February as well. But we haven't seen Fujifilm anyway for the last year or so.
No.
The C200s came in, Superiors came in, but literally within small quantities. Exactly.
That was it.
But Kodak has gone up, I think, just on average 15%. I mean, some of them went up more, some of them less. I know the Color Plus have gone up for about 20%.
Quite a lot on Color Plus, yeah. That was when we did our little walk and talk tour through Analog Wonderland and our lovely friends there. Paul very kindly said, oh, you should try Color Plus, because I said, I'd never tried Color Plus film. And I tried that roll in my F6, absolutely loved it. Beautiful, really, for a cheap film. I thought, this is fantastic, cheap film. And then it suddenly went out of stock everywhere, and now the price is almost double. actually. Retailers are
still
selling
the
it
cheapest film though.
Still cheap, but I was shocked. Baxter has a full fridge. Albert's has a full fridge.
100 plus, that's good. Yeah, if you're not
David.
planning to use some stuff, let's say in the next few months, even maybe freeze it. So,
Yeah.
there are articles on how to freeze those things.
Yeah,
so, just read them first.
You can actually freeze film. So for anyone who did not know. Also, Paul, again, from Analog Wonderland, in that tour that we did, he gave quite a few very useful storage tips for your film. So if you've missed that, you can go find it way back on our YouTube channel from, about a year ago, I think, almost.
Yeah. So this weekend, I have a plan to develop 3 rolls of black and white film in 35 and one 120 film. So it's going to be my first time since forever. No, I did 4x5 development actually a month ago, but this one is going to be first
black
time.
And white though?
Yeah. So
right.
I've got some, I still have another 6 shots of Format Pan 400 in 4x5 format.
Okay.
So, but I'm not going to do those.
No.
I've got some street photography at HP5, push 2 stops, 3 rolls of that.
So you're going to get your little calculator out to figure out.
Exactly. There's an app for this. There's an app on your phone with all the recipes. You look at the film stock, how many stops you push or pull it.
Yeah.
And then you add the developer. So I'm using the Ilford stuff,
right.
the basic powder stuff. ID11, I think it's called. So you got this and they give you a recipe, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I got a lab box a while back, as you know, because I don't have a space to have any kind of form of darkroom. Not a single room in my house doesn't have a window in it. And so I thought, well, the lab box is a good way around that, because essentially what the lab box is, it was originally a Kickstarter campaign, and you could load your film into the tank in complete daylight. It's a daylight loading tank, and it was all enclosed, so you don't ruin your film in the process. And I got the sort of end for the 35mm and the end for the 120. And when I did when I attempted to load my 120 film, and apparently the lab box version 2 has much clearer markings on it, but I completely messed up the way that you feed the 120 film in, and it all got stuck to itself, which was very, very sad.
So it's the only video that we didn't publish on our YouTube channel.
I look like I aged 100 years while filming that. Anyway, and I also did C41, so with all the temperatures and everything.
Wow,
so, yeah.
I have never done C41.
It's not as hard. It's actually not that hard. You just need to make sure that whatever you've got, that you're putting, like if you've got a sink, for example, that you're putting hot.
Well, I do have a sink in my house.
You have a sink?
Yeah, my house is quite modern, yeah.
So if you've got a sink in your house that will hold the bottles, you can put the bottle of chemicals in, and you've got a thermometer, and I know that you have a thermometer, like your steak thermometer, I
have my coffee thermometer, I have my steak thermometer, I have the sous vide machine, which will keep the water in a tank the same temperature.
Right.
Cinestill does this sous vide machine.
Yeah.
It's literally the same sous vide machine that's used for cooking.
Ah.
So all it does is effectively a kettle, the heating element in a tank of water that keeps it at the same temperature.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So I did the old school way, and I just kept turning the tap on every time I needed to just make sure the temperature stayed regulated. And when I did the 35mm rolls, they came out okay. I was also shooting, that film was expired film on a Nikon SP rangefinder. So it was like all the challenges.
Expired film on expired camera.
Expired film on a camera that has no meter, using a Western Master Mark II.
Well, I
assume
it's better than Sunny 16.
Yeah,
that's fine.
And it was good. Yes, shots fired. And then developing it myself, and I was actually quite pleased with the results, even though I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and it was very, very stressful.
Okay, so I have another device that is on Kickstarter right now. It's called Reveni Labs Dunkbot. Okay, that is
Dunkbot.
Yeah, that's a $700, right? And it's a deep and dunk machine.
Ooh.
So they
automated film processing at home.
Exactly.
And it's how much?
It starts at $700 for disassembled version.
Cheaper than a camera.
Exactly. So it comes with 5 or 6 tanks. Mm-hmm. It can process, I think, 2 or 3 film rolls at a time.
Okay.
And you fill those tanks for, let's say, C41. You need 5 or 6 different steps to go through.
At least 3, but yes.
Yeah, 3 for black and white. 3 for black and white. So you fill it up. You choose the right program.
Yeah.
you basically load the film in the tank, and it just dips in there, dip and dunk,
Wow.
and it's all controlled, which is very good for small batch processing. Obviously, if you're running a lab, then you probably want to still go for those Noritsu and Fujifilm machines.
Yes.
But for home processing, for keen enthusiasts, I think $700 is not that bad actually.
No, it's not. It's actually not bad at all. It depends on how much film you shoot. Obviously, one of the biggest things now I'm noticing is how cost prohibitive it is to shoot film on a regular basis. It's getting more and more expensive. We generally use AG Photo Labs to send our film
In Birmingham,
up north for us anyway.
Just sent 12 rolls of film, but one was yours, so 135 yours, 11 120 rolls from me.
He was very busy.
Just processing, no scanning. That was £58. So for 11 rolls of film. So I think it's $450 each roll plus postage back.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. Sorry to answer Andy. No, I didn't send it to get scanned after developing. I then scanned it myself using the ES2. That was fine.
So you're a loyal Nikon supporter.
All by myself. Yeah, I have definitely. I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with doing it myself versus sending it off. The expense of getting someone else to scan, even when you get them to develop and then scan your shots, it kind of doubles the cost of developing a roll of film.
Yeah, that's true.
So I have kind of gone, you know what, actually, originally my viewpoint was my time is more valuable to me than spending.
She gets paid a lot.
I have so many
I scan
things.
myself.
I have so many
my
things.
time is cheap.
Your time is super cheap.
I work for food.
One coffee. I just had too many things to do to think I cannot possibly also have time to do this. But then after doing that for quite a while, I was like, actually, it's getting too expensive now. Yeah. So then I've gone back to doing it myself.
Well, the good news is if you do shoot digital and you've got a macro lens, then highly likely you can set up a proper DSLR scanning is the code, but you can obviously use your mirrorless cameras for that as well. Yeah. If you can buy a second-hand copy stand, even from those old enlargers, darkroom enlargers, and then all you need to do is to get a holder, which again, you have a price choice from something like £50 for a holder to about, let's say, £700 for a holder for a proper metal engineered stuff. So you can spend, either very minimal amount of money or a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then you can do DSLR scanning. And while DSLR scanning is very quick because you take a shot and you move on, it's a little bit more fiddly with it because you may need to fiddle with exposures and need to work on them in a Lightroom.
Yeah. Definitely the work comes after taking the shot, not before, really. Once it takes you 5 minutes to set up something like an ES2 or, using a digital camera. But it's the converting and then tweaking those settings afterwards, which can take a long time. For example, Benjamin said, everyone talks about how much a roll of film costs, but it's really the lab costs that make it cost prohibitive. Totally agree with you there.
I think we need to definitely get to the point where it is, the problem right now is what Photolab is charging you is actually still not sustainable for a lot of them.
For them, yes.
Places were closing, even if the volume now is increasing. Actually, to run a lab, you really need to, let's say, if you look at the film process like Noritsu, LS50, I'm going to go a bit technical here, but bear with me. LS50, you need to be processing at least 100 rolls a day. If you don't process 100 rolls a day, then you paying way too much on chemicals. You need to run the machine all the time, basically. So if you think that they are ripping you off, they're not. And
no, I never would have said that. Yeah, I don't think that. I hope that no one thinks that labs are ripping them off because it's definitely not the case. It is just that expensive now. Yeah,
and you can find we use AG Photographic, which is it's a mail service basically. So we send them off to Birmingham and they come back to us. But they charge $450. There are some places that charge $399. In London, in person, it will be more expensive. But you can find a lab that works for you. And obviously, some of them charge more, but then turnover is a bit faster. You name it. If you're looking at buying equipment now, let's say scanners. Fast scanners, again, the Noritsu and Fujifilm scanners, Frontier scanners. Those scanners start at 5,000 plus. And if you're looking at medium format and, let's say, 35mm scanning, the LS1800 Noritsu, secondhand, we're talking secondhand, the parts are no longer available. So you basically gamble on it. They start at about 12,000 plus just for the scanner, not including the film processor.
Yes.
So the outlay is huge. Obviously, if you knew what's going to happen with film, and let's say you could buy those things really cheaply 10, 15 years ago.
We had time machines.
Exactly. But nowadays, those things are expensive, and the parts becoming more expensive as well. So until someone comes in and starts to manufacture those things from scratch and make that less expensive, and obviously the film starts to become more available, especially color 35mm film.
Yeah.
Then the price will stabilize. But at the moment, that's the thing. People say it's a bubble and it's going to burst. I think once we reach the point where Kodak say that they are investing, they hired 300 people last year. We've talked about that. They are planning to expand. So once this is all done, hopefully we get the volume of production coming into the place where the prices can stabilize a little bit. But we are in that moment where things are growing and no one knows what to do with it. It's like with vinyl. Yeah. Vinyl is up, 5th year in a row. Yes. All those factories, I think in Europe is Czech Republic, I think, where they print them. They all basically, if you want, say I would like to print the Grace of Westminster soundtrack, you may need to wait a year just to publish it on vinyl because they're so backloaded with orders.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Not a problem for Miley Cyrus, though.
Well, probably not,
or anyone else that wants
Exactly. It's probably got a budget,
Yeah, exactly. It skips the queue. Andy has a question, and this is a question for you, I'm going to say. Is the Nikon Coolscan a viable solution?
Yes, Coolscan 9000, that's what I have.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of lazy way of scanning because you load it up and you go and do some other things.
You go and make 10 cups of tea.
But like I've just been scanning recently, so 36 frames are raw on the higher setting, so 4,000 DPI.
He goes all in.
Yeah, all in.
Like doing it in a small JPEG.
Exactly. So multi-pass, double exposure, all of it. So, double whammy and all that. So, you're looking at about 2 hours for 12 frames. But this is the highest possible quality.
Right.
So realistically, it would be a day to scan one roll of film. So if you've got thousands of negatives, you may want to reduce those settings. And then it's going to become a lot faster. Compared to DSLR scanning, where you can just go click, 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 click. Now, as I always say, with DSLR scanning, it's never a click, click, click. Like they try to show you, like if you look at those channels, they say, I'm going to scan this roll of film in 1 minute. Nah. Your exposure, there's lots of things, you need to
think about
narrow down.
When you're doing that, for sure. But David asks the question, which is an important question, says, I have a Nikon Coolscan for my issue. Where do you find drivers/software for a modern Mac? There is actually software. Yeah,
ViewScan, about $90. You buy the license and it's forever. The beauty of ViewScan is it doesn't matter. It's basically tied up to your email. It's not tied up to your scanner. Compared to something like Silverfast, which you buy a license for each piece of equipment that you use.
Yeah.
So you got a Coolscan 4, and let's say one day it broke and you bought Coolscan 5. You will need to buy Silverfast again, which I really don't like this, so that's why I chose ViewScan.
Sure.
But ViewScan is basically the best solution. Coolscan 9000 doesn't work with current MacBook Pros, so you need to get Ethernet to Thunderbolt adapter and then Thunderbolt converters, I think USB-C if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So you buy those two things and then you connect to the MacBook and then it will work fine. So there are workarounds, but unfortunately those are old pieces of equipment. And we're talking about Coolscan 5. It was even produced before Coolscan 5.
Yeah.
Coolscan 4. So that one is probably about 15 years old. Coolscan 5 is probably 10 years old now. So, all those bits of equipment, unfortunately, because they're so old, you need to find workarounds how to use them. If you want to service them, there are, I think, just a number of people who can service them. I know there's only one person in UK.
Yeah, to be honest, the parts is the biggest issue. But if you want to see a full hour live stream of Con doing a scanning and archiving session, then that was a live stream that you did back in July last year?
Yeah, when Becky was away, so it was a solo live stream. Me and Tilly, we
answering the tough questions.
Exactly.
So that is on our channel. So go and dig that out if you are genuinely interested in doing a home scanning setup and you want to know what that looks like. I also many eons ago did a live stream down in the secondhand department on the ES1, ES2 as a digital SLR. or mirrorless option for taking pictures of your negatives. So we do have those resources on our YouTube channel. I want to look at pictures, but I did want to answer a couple of other people's comments very, very quickly. Mark said, Mark said, hi, Becky and Con. So far on your recommendations, I have purchased from Grays the Z105, the Voigtlander 35, and a 50, I'm assuming Voigtlander Apo, yeah. Nice. They said, would Becky be available after the stream to discuss future lens purchases? Well, Mark, I am around. So you can always call the shop or you can drop us an email because I will always answer my emails. Just send it to info@grayswestminster.co.uk and that will get to me and then I will answer you. So no problem there. Andy, yes, the ES1 does work with older DSLRs and 55 macros. Again, actually the video explains how to make all the different options work with the ES1 and ES2 and what the difference between the ES1 and the ES2 are as well, because there are differences. So good. Let's look at some pictures.
Yeah, let's look at some pictures. Absolutely, absolutely.
So the way that I am going to do this, I think, and you're going to have to tell me if this works now.
All right.
So I'm going to share our screen. Oh, and it worked. Yay. Okay, so this first shot here came from Baxter Morrison. Now, because of the number of pictures that we were sent, I couldn't use our fancy broadcast software because it only lets you share 20 shots and we had 27. So I'm just doing a really simple screen share here. But this is a lovely sort of studio style shot. What did Baxter say?
So this image was shot on Lomo 400 in 120 in the medium format at the box speed. So 400 speed, the lighting was from 3 heads, a beauty dish, a strip box, and a large octabox. All were used with grids. So that's pretty good. And obviously we're using a little bit of a, slow shutter speed.
And a bit of motion going on.
Exactly. So the flashes will freeze the subject and then slow shutter speed will add a bit of a motion
and
into
it's interesting because I can't quite tell, but I think it's the model that moved in that one rather than Baxter. But that's just because she's got that kind of movement in the shot, whereas the light looks like it's fairly static. Anyway, very, very cool shot.
Yeah, so Lomo 400 is obviously color film, but he converts it to black and white. So you can do this. It's not a blasphemy or anything like this. So, it's you can convert your color shots into black and white. You can't do the opposite.
I was going to say, hard to do the other way around.
Exactly, but we're all creators. And he says that he prefers personally to use Portra 400, overexposed by one stop, so shot at 200 for the look he's going for. And normally Portra 400 overexposed by one stop will produce those slightly better, more pastel colors.
Oh yes, because Portra 400 otherwise has this kind of very vivid look to it.
Exactly, yeah. So if you want to go pastel, you go one stop or even 2 stops. I mean,
you do that at 100.
Yeah, you can do that. It's fine. The good thing about color film that you can overexpose and the retention highlights is massive. Well, don't go +5 stops, but you definitely can shoot 1 or 2 stops over and you're going to be fine. The problem with color film or even black and white, if you underexposed, then it's very difficult to recover those shadows. So it's very opposite thing from digital. In digital, you don't have much details and highlights, but you have a lot of shadow details. So film is opposite. So when you do this, yeah, definitely 400 overexposed will give you those nice kind of more pastel look.
Excellent. All right. The next one up here is from Karl Marinkovic. Now, this is a lovely landscape. Unfortunately, I cannot get rid of those thumbnails at the bottom of the frame. So I hope that doesn't completely ruin it for you. I'm actually just going to, for 1 second, get rid of our picture. There you go. You get at least a bit more of the full effect of the image. So what did Karl say on this one?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's a New Zealand landscape.
Ooh.
So he says it took him about 5 months to finish the roll.
Sounds like me, Carl.
Exactly. So, when people say 36 frames, it's not much.
It's a lot.
Sometimes 65 months to finish them.
Forever.
So this shot was shot on Velvia 35mm with Nikon F100 and 15-30 f2.8 Tamron lens.
Oh, wow.
So, I like the shot.
Yeah,
it's got nice colors.
Nice leading lines as well, nice colors. And I'm not usually much of a massive Fuji film lover in terms of the colors. Some people love it. I'm never always that keen.
I wonder it's been a little bit cropped in because I'm thinking or it would be 30, kind of on the longer end of the lens. Because at 15 you'll get a bit more distortion.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
No, it's very low distortion. Okay, so now we've got two shots. This was one which was very tough to pick. These are from David Cruz, so this is the first one. This is
So this is Nikon F3 with 51.4 AIS and Ilford HP5.
Very nice. And although it's possibly one of those images which you think, well, you know, I've seen images like this before, but there was something that I really liked about how just deep those shadows are in the sides of the road and also in the sky. I don't know if that comes through on YouTube, but I really hope that you can see. And obviously with all those light trails coming from the cars as well.
Yeah, so we're looking at 10 to 20 seconds long exposure, and it will show the 5.6. So yeah, you definitely, if you want to get those shots of the highways and lots of recorded lights, you do definitely want to get at least 10 seconds of exposure or longer.
Exactly. Now, there was another one from David that I just wanted to include. It would be great if I could get this thing to give me a full screen, but it won't. So this shot, despite the fact that the bottom is slightly chopped here, when we first looked at it, we were like, this is really interesting because it's not your typical sort of rule of thirds composition. But that's almost works really well in its favor because those light streaks coming from the top of that building kind of pull the eye towards the top. You know, it's really interesting shot. What was that one taken on?
Well, another Nikon in the mix is N75, or in UK we call it F75, I believe. A nice kit lens, 28 to 80, f3.3 to 5.6, so something that, again, you wouldn't think of as a fantastic lens, but as you can see, it takes great shots, and it's been shot on Delta 100, which is kind of famous for its it's very similar to T-Max, so it's got this kind of you have traditional grain structure and you got new modern grain structure. So Delta is more modern, similar to T-Max, while HP5 is more traditional. I wouldn't call it similar to Tri-X, but kind of in the same way. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this next one is by David Mascaro. David sent us two great shots. Both were sort of street photography style. I don't know what's going to happen if I push this button. I'm going to push this button. Oh, look at that. I figured it out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was what David Cruz's last image looked like, just so you see the full screen. There we go. All right, David Mascaro. So this one, the two shots that he sent were very interesting. One was color, one was black and white. We picked the black and white one.
But color was great as well.
But the color one was actually great as well. And it's just the lighting is so interesting in the color one, but also in this one. I love how it's like part architecture, part street photography. Did he say what camera he used?
Another Nikon in the mix.
Wow.
Nikon F5 this time with the HP5, which is Ilford film.
You would think that we've got some Nikon fans in the audience here. Okay, this one, see, the problem is if I do this, then I don't know who it is. This is David Roberts. Okay.
David Roberts.
So David took this shot. Do you have the details?
That's Ottawa, Canada, in Majors Hill Park on a foggy April 2022. He used Nikon F3 HP and Kodak Gold 200 film.
I like it. And it's quite golden, isn't it?
It's almost a monochrome.
Yeah, almost like sepia.
You know, Lomo has a red scale film.
Yeah.
You know, so it almost looks like that.
It's kind of like, yeah, exactly. Kind of desaturated like that. Okay, this next one is...
That's David Liu.
David, also aka Dixon. Did he give any details?
Yeah, so if you notice the color palette of this film, this is Lomo Metropolis, which kind of famous for this kind of bleached out effect, urban
I actually
effect.
quite liked the results that I got from my Metropolis. I used Lomo Metropolis a while back and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so he used a point and shoot camera, Olympus stylus wide, and he rated the film at EL200 or ISO 200. So, but yeah, he talks about that he liked this desaturated look of that film, especially for urban style photography.
Yeah, exactly. So if you like a film that is a little bit quirky, a bit different, then definitely check out Lomography. They do a number of different sort of weird and wonderful films. I think we've got a few to test out still, actually. Okay.
I have a red scale somewhere. And the new one that came in, it's like Aerochrome.
Yeah.
Which one is that? It's called Purple or something?
It's a purple scale. But
purple scale,
violet or something. This is by Ed Friday.
Ed Friday, let's find that.
See if you can find the details on that one.
Here we go.
So Ed sent us a few shots, and again, it was a tough pick, but we went for this one just because of that kind of composition rules going on, where you get this big subject in the foreground, and then your eye kind of gets led away into the distance by these standing stones.
So that one is taken with Leica M4. It's a nice camera.
Very nice camera.
It's and the Carl Zeiss Biogon 35 2.8, which is again a very highly regarded lens. FP4 film. Remember I told you that I want to try FP4 for portraiture in the studio. So because what I like about FP4 is this kind of, it's the way it renders blacks.
Yeah.
It's very different compared to HP5. So this is on my list actually. I've got 2 rolls to go through in medium format. So which one are we sharing? This one. Okay. Standing stones are, it's a Avebury stone circle in Wiltshire.
There you go. Excellent. So then the next one, I love this shot.
Yes, this one competition. Just there was no competition, but the 2 shots that won is this one and another
dog.
Yeah.
So this is by Enrico Passerini. I don't know if Enrico sent us more than 1 shot. I can't remember, but anyway,
no, I think that was just this. So I'm just trying to find Enrico here.
But the most important thing is that it is a doggo.
Yeah, so this one came from, so he used Canon EOS 5000 with 51.8 and HP5.
There you go.
So,
quite a lot of HP5s going on here.
Well, it's the thing about HP5 is basically nowadays a standard choice for photographers because it used to be Tri-X and Tri-X, I guess depending on where you live, it's, I guess in States maybe it's cheaper to, or it costs about the same as HP5. I'm not sure. But HP5, a lot of people compare it to Tri-X. Obviously, that's all discussable and arguable. But HP5, kind of very similar to this, but a lot cheaper. So that's the reason why a lot of people should Tri-X, and in black and white in general, I would say.
Yeah, I think, black and white seems to be the winner of this composition. This one is by Gary McCautry.
Okay,
I hope I said your name correctly, Gary. And this, I think there was an interesting... did he say what he shot it with? Because I can't remember if he did.
I don't have that email, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, Gary, if you're in the comments, then tell us what you shot it with. It looks like it was taken with a fisheye, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look like a fisheye.
And I love the starburst as well. It's not coming through quite so clearly on the screen, I can see, but there's a starburst there behind the trees, which just brings that extra little bit of attention to it. And those clouds look so moody. It's stunning. Okay, this one is by George Quiroga. Now, George sent us a few shots as well. I'm going to just make us full screen for a second so you can get the full effect of that one. Like this one, very symmetrical. As I say, he sent, I think, 4 pictures or something. So we had to pick one out of this, and we picked this one. What was it shot with?
Well, Nikon F4S. Sigma 150-600 contemporary lens.
Oh, wow.
And a new entry into the film stock list. We got Formapan 100 rated at ISO 200. So pushed 1 stop effectively.
I don't think I've shot with the Fomapan yet. And we have that. We did that with our free film movement.
So when you look at entry-level black and white films and the cheapest available on the market, you got 2 brands. It's Formapan, you got 100, 200, and 400.
Yeah.
And then you got Kentmere films, which are effectively made by Ilford with less silver in them. That's at least what they say on their website. So, so those are the cheapest entries into black and white. All have their own different characters. A lot of people say that 100 and 400 Formapan has a traditional grain structure, while 200 has a new grain structure.
Okay.
So at least that's what Forum says. So, could be wrong on that one. But another thing what you need to look into, and especially if you develop yourself, once you kind of nailed your favorite film stock, then you try to play with developers.
Yes.
Because different developer will give you different looks. So, for example, he says that he developed in Rodinal. For 14 minutes. So there's ID11, there's Kodak does D76, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So there's quite a few developers on the market, and they all produce different looks, and also some of them are recommended with specific stocks. So I know that, let's say, if you go with FP4, which has a finer grain structure, you may want to use slightly, let's say, the developer that's, let's say, more gentle to that,
Right,
you know.
yes.
So there's a lot of things that you can look into, and once you nail this, then you pretty much stick to your black and white stock of film. With color is a little bit different because you can shoot any color film stock on the look you like, but actually the processing is industry standardized. So it doesn't matter what you're going to shoot; it's going to be developed the same way.
Exactly. Okay, another black and white one here. We have Graham Barden. I like this shot because, again, you get this very clever drawing of the eye along that sort of, I guess it's like a feature pond or a lake up to the little tower that we have there. I was trying to figure out where this was. Looks like somewhere National Trust.
That's literally exactly what I wanted to say. Somewhere we've probably been recently.
My favourite.
Well, interesting thing. It was shot with f6, which is the last film camera from Nikon, being discontinued, 2-3 years ago? 2020. But with a modern f-mount lens. It's 24-70 f2.8 G lens.
Nice.
Now, 2.8 at 2,500 of a second.
Okay.
So not sure.
Shutter speed.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe he wanted to blur that rail at the front. That's why the choice of 2.8 focus at infinity.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would make more sense to shoot at f11 and maybe, obviously stop it down to a more reasonable shutter speed. But it's an artistic choice. But also, if you notice how much grain in it, that's a Kent Mir 400 film for you. So if you do like that grain and abundance of it, or bucket loads, like you like to say,
bucket loads.
Then Kent Mir is your film. Now, keep in mind, the Kent Mir film is a little bit flatter. It has less contrast compared to other film stocks. So it may require a bit of fine-tuning once you scan the film effectively.
Yes, in fact, I probably will share a little bit later on this weekend the results from a roll of film I shot Kent Mir 400 over Christmas and New Year's in a new camera that I got. It was my first roll that I put in my new camera that begins with an L and ends with an A. And it was interesting because I don't shoot black and white very often, but I thought, I'll try this. And the results are interesting. I did have to play around with them a bit, but I'll throw those up on Instagram a bit later if anyone's interested, probably in the form of a reel.
Right. Shall we stop with this one and then we go back to comments and then we'll do the part 2?
It's probably a good idea because we haven't seen what anyone has to say.
I don't even know if people are still watching us, so let's just check. Oh, they're still here.
Graham said, yes, going for the foreground blur. See, that's what I thought, Graham, and I thought that was an excellent choice. Paynes Hill Park in Cobham is where that shot was taken.
Okay.
And it was very nice indeed. I agree with that decision to have the foreground blur as well because of the railing. It didn't add to the picture, so I thought it was a very sensible option to blur it out and just have the attention all on that little I guess you'd call it like rotunda or something in the back.
Well, the idea is when we talk about composition, ideally, of course, if you can avoid those obstacles, so if you can exclude them from the frame by moving, that would be the best choice. But sometimes we're in a position where we can't do that. Then you have to be creative, and in this case, you just blur the foreground, so you don't really see that front pillars, because you kind of compositionally your eyes concentrate on that house at the back.
Exactly. That Baxter was saying he finds that Lomochrome purple doesn't push well, gets very grainy, not a bad look though if you want to get creative. Randall pointed out that my laptop has an update waiting. I will not touch it until the stream is finished. See, all the secrets are revealed at the bottom of my laptop when I share my screen. And there was a few, David said all these shots are really lovely. I am very, very happy about both the quality of the shots and also the quantity of them. We've got another bunch to go through, which we will in a minute, but just keeping an eyeball on time. I
think you as a community, we are proud of the community we have because, with you look at the quality of the images, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's we are very proud.
We are. We're very happy.
I mean, it's nothing to do with us. We just like that you watch us and you send us some great photography.
And that you take good pictures.
Exactly.
David said, sad story about this shot. That was back for his shot. He said, 5 minutes after taking it, the shutter on my f3 HP exploded. I really should get another. Oh my goodness. That is quite a dramatic thing to happen while you're in the middle of taking a shot. Ben asks, he said, I've tried an ES2 equivalent on a Z, was disappointed to find out it doesn't use the full sensor size. Is it normal or am I doing something wrong? I can't I can't comment on the ES2 equivalent because I don't know about that, but the genuine Nikon ES2 does use the full sensor size. If you're using the correct lens, which is the 50mm 2.8 MC, you will use the full sensor. There is nothing in the ES2 that crops or limits your sensor at all.
If you think about it, it's a tube.
It's literally just a tube
that blocks off the light and has a holder for the negative or the or let's say or framed positive there. So to keep it in place, that's all it is. So technically, yeah, like if you talk about equivalence, if they design that way and you use the right lens for this, you should get the full frame coverage.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you to Studio Rene as well for your
Thank you very much.
To the Coffee Fund, who says, for me, working in analog black and white provides a lot of fun with a distinct visual look while it is still financially okay. Color, digital.
Yeah, the thing about argument of film is expensive. I think people who shoot film, they will continue to shoot film, and people who shoot digital, they will continue to shoot digital. Everyone's mind is made up at this point.
Yeah.
So this argument of film is too expensive to shoot things like this, it's, in my opinion, is overblown a little bit. Because yes, obviously it is expensive.
Yeah.
But people who were shooting film, they will continue. I mean, I'm going to continue to shoot film. I mean, I'm not going to use it as I still shoot digital, I shoot both.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm going to stop because I'm convinced that what I'm getting out of film in terms of looks and images, to me, speaks volumes. And I will choose it any day over digital, but it just tells me that, that my mind has been made up on this one. And people who shoot digital and happy with it, especially, seasoned guys who've been shooting film for 50 years and obviously they had enough of it and they're happy with digital. That's absolutely fine. That's the thing. So with those things, it's good to have different mediums.
I think so.
If you have different recipes to make the same course.
Yeah.
And at the end it results in a very palatable or tasty meal, aka image. It doesn't matter what you use. Do you see what I mean?
It's the same with a painting.
Yeah.
If you get this desired result or communication in the image, doesn't matter whether you used watercolor or acrylics or oils or whatever. David said, have you guys ever reviewed the 28 Ti and 35 Ti? I did actually. We were talking about this earlier.
Yes.
We've got a 35 Ti. We will do a review on that very soon. We did do the 28 Ti. I think that was
one of the early days of YouTube.
Days. It was like a vlog style thing. So go and check that out. It's definitely on there. If you're not a Nikon owner subscriber, then you should be. And you can actually not only use the affiliate link that we have in the description box, but also I did an article / review several issues ago on both the 28 and the 35 Ti. If you prefer printed matter, then that's an option.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to. Okay.
I'm just gonna answer. So David says black and white is more expensive for me as it's processed by hand at the lab use. Yes, that's the thing. The black and white generally should be more expensive because, as we say, C41 process is standardized.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what you shoot, it goes into the same machine.
Yeah.
So if it's C41, it goes through the same chemicals as 100, 800 film, Lomo, Kodak, Fuji. With the black and white film, it's effectively like, imagine you have 100 rolls came in. Like, let's say 5 from one guy, 6 from another guy, etc. One is 400 ISO film, one is 400 ISO film. Another one is 400 ISO film, push 2 stops. One, let's say 400 ISO, pull 2 stops. All of this will require different processing. Yeah. You don't put it into the same batch of chemicals, or in the same, tank that holds them. No, it's a different process. And even, let's say you have some machines like those Jobo machines, they're not big Naruto stuff.
No.
So it actually requires a lot more involvement from the technician who processed those films. So I don't know if you I'm sure that some of you know Analog Wonderland, that started their processing I think a year or 2 years ago. And the main issue, they start to have those issues with just time of processing. Instead of a week, it would take 2 weeks. And the main issue they had is the color was not an issue because it would go into the machine. It's the black and white processing. And if people send mixed, let's say, bags of black and white and color film, then the color is processed on day one. The black and white might take another 2-3 days to be processed. And that's what would cause delays. So yeah, just because black and white is not standardized, unfortunately, I think it should be more expensive because it require more work from a technician. But the good news is for people who want to save that you can just buy those partisan tanks. Those are the cheapest options. And you can buy what the developers stop and fix. You pay maybe about, I don't know, 50 quid. And that could process, I don't know, 30, 40 rolls of black and white film for you. So if you have time, again, if your time is not as expensive as Becky's, then, and you want to spend time learning, it could potentially be the case. But like I say, obviously I understand from David because he's a professional photographer and he shoots a lot. Yeah,
he's not going to have time for that.
him, definitely he'll use the LAP instead. Absolutely.
So
pictures.
Next we have, this one is by Israel. Actually, I'm going to hide us for a second just so you can appreciate that in its full glory. Israel, I have to.
What's Israel's last name?
It begins with an M, and I will find it for you. 1 second.
Oh yeah, found
Macario. There we go.
Here we go.
So there we have. This is like a kind of ranch photo. I think.
It's a barn near Los Angeles.
Near LA.
Yeah.
And did he say what it was taken with? No.
Unfortunately, not.
Oh, he says I just got a Nikonus 4 and took a shot of a barn near LA. So it was taken on a Nikonus.
Wow. An underwater camera above water.
Which you can totally use on land. Absolutely.
Well, technically, if you focus to infinity, you're fine, isn't it? It's the focusing that's a bit iffy on those cameras, isn't it? Above water.
It's difficult. You can't see what you're doing, so you have to know this. But if everything's at infinity, you're good to go.
Exactly.
Okay, this next one is taken by Jeffrey Gibbs. Now, Jeffrey sent us 2 shots, and to be honest, Con and I couldn't agree on which one to show you today, so you've got 2. The first one, I really like the joy in this picture. I don't know whether this person sort of finally achieved having reached this rock or whether it was just a general sun salutation, yoga pose, or what's going on.
I have a theory. He achieved his FIRE, which is financial independence, retire early.
Yeah, maybe.
So he's just like, I don't know, 47 and I'm retiring.
But I just love, I really like this shot. It makes me happy. So there's that one. And then the next one, which is a much more emotional shot, which I don't, which you like.
Well, I like this shot because I think it tells a story. And I also feel like we don't have many portrait shots as well. So I thought it's good to just demonstrate that you can shoot portraiture on film as well.
That's right. Did Jeffrey say what he used for these pictures?
Good question. Let's have a look. Both are taken in Hawaii, a remote archipelago located in North Pacific Ocean of the west coast of Canada.
Wow.
The first shot is a sea stack with me pictured too. So that's him, Jeffrey. So he took the shot on a tripod with a self-timer. He shot on 35mm Ilford Pan F50. So Pan F50 is a 50 ISO film.
Right.
So very low sensitivity.
Yeah.
But that should produce much less grain and much better, let's say, gradations between the shadows and details and midtones. The second shot of a friend called Patch is an elder in the Haida indigenous, I'm butchering language. Indigenous.
That's great.
Who have inhabited Haida. Okay, I can't speak English.
Yes.
So her people were living on this land for over 10,000 years.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. And it was shot with Cinestill XX, which is respooled Kodak Vision black and white film.
That's right.
So
beautiful film.
At ISO 250, and it says it has more characterful grain than a Pan F. Yes, because it's 250 ISO, it's got it's got more noticeable grain than ISO 50 film.
Yeah. And those were both taken on the F4S, so another Nikon batch there. Okay, so this one, bear with me while I have a look. This was taken by Paul Addison.
Okay.
This is a good, it's interesting. Some people decide to put frames on their shots. Some people decide not to. And I think different shots work with and without it. But I like the frame on this one. I think it kind of really sets the picture back a bit.
That's a St. Mary's Church. It's in Snettisham, West Norfolk. Cool. Rolane Ferret 400 on Nikon F5 and R72 filter. So he pushed it one stop, so exposed at ISO 800 instead of 400. So you get a little bit more grain there as well.
Yeah, and it's an infrared film with an infrared filter, basically, with the red filter on it, which is cool. Roy was saying that the one film he misses, because Roy doesn't shoot film anymore, is color infrared, I think. We have a very good boy here.
Yeah, another winner of this challenge.
This is automatically win. This is Richard Angeloni, and automatic win. I just want to give this dog a hug. I want to pet this very good boy.
Yes, definitely.
Immediately.
Let me find him.
You will find him in there, and then we'll get the details. Hopefully, maybe. We'll get the details of how the shot. But in the meantime, enjoy. Yeah.
Enjoy. Did I miss it?
Richard Angeloni went straight past it.
Here we go.
Very good boy.
Very good boy. Yeah. Okay.
Looks happy.
So Fujifilm Fuji Color ISO 400 on Nikon L35AF. It's one of the kind of most underrated point-and-shoot cameras nowadays. So Nikon 28 Ti and 35 Ti, those are well-known classics, and they fetch a pretty penny on eBay and places like this. And if you're looking at collectible mint condition, you'll pay even more. Now, L35 can be had from anything from £50 to about £200 on eBay in good working conditions. I mean, you've got version 2, I've got version 1.
Yeah.
I also recently got L35AW, which is underwater camera.
Yes.
So it's a weather sealed underwater camera. It has a very good 35mm lens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very, very highly rated. Richard also sent another shot, which we decided to include, which was a sunset, because the dog was like a free pass, basically.
Yeah.
This is a lovely sunset shot. Again, same setting, same film.
Yeah, I think our next change, whatever it's going to be, we're just going to have 4 photographs of pets.
I think that's very important.
Yes.
Very, very important. But I do love the colors on this one. In fact, they don't come through so well on this screen as they do on your screen, but that's because your screen is a bit cooler and you can really see the blues come out in that sort of sunset, which is interesting.
Indeed.
Okay, our next one here is Richard Brown.
Richard Brown's architecture photography here.
Which you have the details of in a minute. We're going to run over.
Me and Richard actually had a conversation because he was looking for black and white reversal film development in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
And there used to be a company called Nick and Taylor. They used to do that. And they also used to do ECN2 process. So that's for Vision.
Yeah.
We Kodak Vision 3 films with a ramjet. But black and white reversal film. So it's like a color reversal film.
Yeah.
But so no one did them until Analog Wonderland a couple of weeks ago. Emailed again and said, we've been experimenting with it and we're going to do it now. So if you want to do this, I think Fomapan does Fomapan R film. You can buy it. I think Rolei does one of those as well. So yeah, they're quite an interesting film to use. I never done them. I never used them, but it could be fun. So this shot was taken on Nikon F5 and FP4 film.
There you go. And it is Southend University.
Okay.
That's where it is. Okay, next one. Now we've got a couple more architecture shots here. This is interesting because we're actually going to compare these shots. This one came in from Robert Focadilla. Okay. And this is a spiral staircase. But it's interesting that you can't necessarily tell that it's a spiral staircase. I like the little sneak of legs in there in the corner. That was taken on Nikon F80 with a Yongnuo 35 F2 and Fuji Superior Extra 400.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see a lot of Fuji film stocks being used with images, but that's probably to do with actually their supply situation.
Yeah.
It's a lot worse than Kodak.
I like the fact that whoever opened that drain cover at the bottom decided to put it out of alignment with the with the stones there.
As you do, yeah.
But it makes for an interesting picture. But then we have another spiral staircase here, and this one was shot by Russell van Krayenberg. And although we're not comparing one with the other necessarily, I do like the fact that you can see the full spiral in this shot, and it kind of it creates even more of a kind of immersive effect with this one. You found him and you just went past him.
It's too many, and sometimes I just don't see it. Here we go. Here we go. So again, that's just another way to shoot the same scene. I mean, it's not the same spiral, staircase, but
same subject, different viewpoint.
Exactly. So this one's taken with Nikon F100 and 2035 f2.8 lens, which is a predecessor of the legendary AFS 17-35 2.8.
It is. All right. And then the last shot I think we have for today, this one is by our very own Samantha O'Donnell. And this was one, I think you've got the email, which actually has the details.
That's not London. That's somewhere else.
It's Lincoln, I think. It's Lincoln, said, okay. But you've got the details in there somewhere. Now, Sam gave us such a huge selection of shots, and we found it really hard to pick. But this one, honestly, was actually my favorite because of all the color in it, and it's obviously, it was a good fun shoot. I reckon there was some other ones in there of architecture and black and white stuff. Did she put the details?
No, I don't see it.
No. What was the name of this shot? She's going to tell us in a minute, and I'm not looking at the comments. I think they're in the last email that I sent you, like the top one. It just says
August Lincoln Cathedral.
No, it's Nottinghamshire Pride.
Okay.
There you go.
Fair enough.
It's not the cathedral. Anyway, there you have it, folks. Thank you very much for sending us over your pictures. We're going to do another challenge once we figure out what it is.
We haven't figured out yet.
We will let you know.
It's going to be digital this time, so don't worry. You don't need to throw away your digital cameras yet.
That's right. Exactly.
We could say DSLR.
We could do DSLR and see what.
To be honest with you, I want to see some street photography personally. Maybe not this, maybe this challenge, maybe the next one, but I want to see some good street life.
Yes.
So that's my personal pick. But
Yeah, I would love to see some street. In fact, I think we're going to do some street photography as soon as the weather improves slightly.
Yes.
As Agile River said, give the stream a like. Please give it a like if you haven't already, because we are wrapping up now. David says he just paid $965, presumably dollars, for a 28 Ti. It's probably about average, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, they are very, very expensive. Ed says he should have submitted pictures of his cats. Ed, you should. I very nearly submitted pictures of my cats and snuck them in under an alias.
Yes. There's a picture of Tilly. Who took it?
It's just another random Vizsla.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that we did film photography. It was so nice to see so many of you participate in this one, but we will try and do perhaps a more generic topic.
Well, let's say a genre.
Yeah, as opposed to specifically using a particular type of medium.
Yes.
You can do a particular genre or a topic or whatever.
Send a picture of your like.
Not that specific.
No.
David said, I resubscribed to Nikon Owner Silver, which is the one with the printed magazine. I love reading all the back issues, and an old review of D300 convinced me to get mine out of the closet and play around with it. There you go. See, there's some hidden gems in those back issues. Well, there we go. I think that was it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Andy says that my photography professor in college would fail you if you sent cat or baby pictures.
I know, but it's a live stream.
We're not professors.
Exactly.
We love seeing other people's work, whatever it is. I always have at least one picture of my cats in a roll of film. It's usually like the final shot, just to run that through.
Exactly.
I don't know what I'm going to do with those pictures.
Obviously, let's say we're not judging those images from artistic merit that much, but we always love to see everyone's pets. Absolutely.
We love a good floof. Right. Thank you very much, all. We will see you next week. We'll be back on the weekend. We've got a video of some description coming out. I think
it's a film camera.
It is a film camera.
And it's one of the legendary ones. I mean, all Nikon cameras are legendary, but
it's an icon.
It is, yes.
Looking forward to that. Then next week we'll be back with a Nikon report, and then another live stream next week. So have a great weekend, all. Thank you for being here. We love you, and have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.